we need to be aware of what drives market value, and that is necessary for us to be able to mitigate risk. As I mentioned earlier, the only way that we can provide a recommendation for a suitable mortgage to a private lender is if we know the risk profile of the applicant. And a large part of that risk profile centers around the property or the security for the loan. Again, we're trying to make loans here that are going to be repaid from periodic payments, like monthly payments, and then have a solid exit strategy to repay the entire principal amount. But we also have to be realistic and know that what we're involved with is higher risk lending. So we need to mitigate the risk as much as possible. Desktop appraisals aren't going to mitigate the risk enough in a private lending scenario. A drive-by appraisal isn't going to mitigate the risk enough. Drive-by, where the appraisal basically drives by the property and takes some exterior pictures, make sure the property looks to conform to the neighborhood. But we don't need just, we don't need a superficial idea of what the value is. For a private lender, we need to be able to say with a high degree of certainty what the value is if that property has to be sold. That's where we rely on a full appraisal. It expands on the information and techniques used in a desktop and a drive-by by having a full inspection done. It allows the appraiser to get in there, look around, take pictures, look at any upgrades, look at any defects that might be there, look at how the current owner is treating the security. The report typically contains interior, exterior photos, as well as the immediate neighborhood. And we can have a look at, this is a full appraisal, a sample appraisal. This is actually an appraisal that was done on a rental property that I owned several years ago when I first purchased it. And it gives you a good breakdown. This is in the manual, so you can take a look at it there. But just to give you an idea, if you're not familiar with full appraisals, if you've been doing primarily institutional lending and the lender is determining the value on their own of the property, and you've not really had access to a full appraisal, then I would urge you to take a look at the full appraisal in the textbook. But this is a property that I bought. It's in Whitby, and gives you an idea of the depth of the report. And that's important for us when we're sitting down with our potential private lender. We want to look at this, and the importance of the appraisal is far greater in a private transaction because we have to interpret it. There's many individuals or licensees look at the value on the report, and that's what they base their whole decision on. But we also have to be cautious about just simply relying on that number. We have to look at the comparables. Now, if you're not comfortable in reviewing an appraisal, then you should be using appraisers that are well known in the private lending industry. And those appraisers are the ones who would give conservative values and who are used to doing private or appraisals for private lenders. So they know what is important to a private lender. That is the condition of the property, the ability to sell the property quickly and for an amount that's going to recover their investment. So you may have an appraiser who's used to doing that, who comes in with a conservative value, whereas another appraiser appraising it for an institutional lender may come in at a higher value. Again, there's that leeway that is normal when it comes to, there's several percentage that in value that it may differ from appraiser to appraiser. For private lenders, we want to see appraisals that are on the more conservative side. The appraisal will give a summary of the value of it. So if you can see here, the value, where do we go? The value as of the date, this was 2017 when it was done. And we pop up here, we had a value of 590,000. And the value then, there's a lot of limiting assumptions. And then we get pictures. So it's important as well to have a look at the pictures. So what is the current condition of the property? From the lender's perspective, they're not doing a full inspection of the property, although they could if they wanted to. They could request that, and then it's up to your borrower whether to agree to that or not. Your investor may also, your lender may also want to meet with the borrower. That is perfectly normal, although not typically regular, but depending on the type of situation, the lender may want to meet with the borrower. But generally speaking, the appraiser has the eyes to see the property and paints the picture for us without us being there to physically view it ourselves. So they put this report together to summarize what they've seen so that we get a feel for what the property is. And in this case, we see these pictures, there's a map, there's more in-depth details exactly where it's located in regards to a subdivision in this particular case. And that is something that you want to go through with your potential lender. So be aware that the appraisal is what tells us the value of the security. And since we know that private lending is pretty much security-based lending, there is a heavy reliance on the appraisal. So you need to be aware of that.